My dreams have come true. Kiko has come out with some new products for their regular range, and they have come out with a cool tone version of their poof style blushes, which I love. I bought the new foundation, the new concealer, I bought the cool tone pink poof style blush, and I bought one of the 3-in-1 all over blushes, which is one of my favorite formulas. If this is the exact same formula as I'm thinking, one of my favorite formulas in blushes by Kiko. I love it so much. I'm very excited. Let's get into it. The first product that I have here to show you is the Skin Lover Intensive Serum Foundation. This is a foundation with a dropper. It's not as liquidy as I was thinking. It kind of feels in between a very serum-like and a more creamy foundation. This is a glass bottle. It has 28 milliliters of product, and I got the shade One Cool Rose. So what they say about this foundation is it has hyaluronic acid, niacinamide, and rose water. It's hydrating up until 8 hours, which I don't feel like is very long if products promise things for up to 8 hours. Like if I go out, then a lot of the time I will be out of my house for longer than 8 hours, especially if I'm going to work. Like it's just not that long. I would have preferred like 12 hours, but it also really depends on your skin. It depends on how you prep your skin, if you set your foundation, what kind of primer you use. So I think this is going to be different for different people anyway. It gives a second skin effect. It has medium coverage that is buildable. It's easy to blend and make your skin look more even. It is perfect for the more mature skin. I don't really have fine lines, but I do have kind of like drier patches on my face. It's been getting better. My skin has been doing better, but the test really is how this will go over drier patches. And this one does have some perfume in it, but I smelled it in store. I was kind of debating if I should just order this online or go into store. But I did decide to go into store because I did want to see how this smelled. And I do really smell the perfume, but it's not as strong as with some other products by Kiko. Like you definitely smell it, but it's not super offensive to me. So I'm gonna clip my hair back, and I'm not gonna put on any primer just to see what this does on its own. Alright, and I also zoomed you in a little bit. I do have a little bit of a day cream and a peptide serum on, but nothing too crazy. I do feel like because of the serum, my skin is a little bit tacky. I'm just gonna drop a little bit of this on my hand and then pick it up with the brush and see how I feel about that. I do feel like the dropper, it's a little bit hard to like get product in there. I do feel like you only need like quite a small amount of this, because when I was swatching it, like a little bit, it goes a really, really long way. So I'm just gonna grab my favorite brush for applying foundation and skin tints, which is the Singe FO1. And it does run a little bit on the hand, but it's nothing too crazy. It's not like directly dripping off. And yeah, I got a bit of a pinky shade. There was also in this depth range a more peachy and a more yellow shade, but I actually think this is gonna be a great match for me. I'm gonna do one half of my face first. I definitely see quite a lot of coverage here and kind of like a glowy finish. We're gonna see if the glowy finish is gonna like stick around or if it's gonna dry down a little bit more. It's looking really nice so far, but still need to blend in a little bit. Like this is definitely the type of formula that looks a little bit more stripy at first, but once you blend it in, you're not gonna have an issue with that. I think this is a really great shade match. Like that is really nice. Just doing a little bit on the nose. We also have the concealer later, so we're also gonna try that under the eyes. I feel like this is quite a high coverage. Like it's definitely buildable. It's definitely that medium coverage. It's very glowy. Like, do you see that glow? It's a little bit on the thicker side almost, the way it's looking on the skin. Like, it's looking really good. It's high coverage and it's glowy. Still feels a little bit tacky, so we're gonna see if that's gonna dry down. So this is just my skin, how it usually looks, and then here with the foundation. I do quite like the way this is looking. I'm gonna look up close a little bit. It's definitely creamy and glowy. I think this is gonna be for drier skin. I have a feeling this is not really gonna work when you're oily because it's just almost a little thicker. I do feel like it feels really comfortable because it's not that super dry down formula, like it immediately like locks in the skin, which of course is long wearing, but it's not great for during the day if you have dry skin. It doesn't feel like sticky. I actually think that my skin is looking really great. Like this is looking healthy and it's not looking weird here where I have some dry patches, which basically everything I've put on my face lately has stuck to this dry patch. So I'm happy about that. I already felt in store this swatched really nicely. Okay, I took a lot. This swatched really nicely. It is $20.99 here in the Netherlands, which is not the cheapest, but if it's in a regular range, you can also grab it on a deal. Like there's no rush. I think this is a really interesting formula. And yeah, I took a bit too much. Like you really don't need that much. Ooh, I can really see that coverage on my neck as well. It's really smoothing everything over. That is, yeah, definitely covering things up. But in a nice way, I do like it. It's not gonna be like an everyday thing for me, but like I could also apply it with a sponge and then have the coverage be a little less. Because yeah, I'm not someone for super high coverage, but at least you can see you can get there. Like you still see this pimple a little bit, but I don't feel like there is anything really that would cover that fully. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, because it's so pigmented, I do have to spend a little bit of time blending, but it's blending out. I do smell it a little bit while applying it. Like it's not like you don't notice it. I'm really liking this. I really like the color on myself. Yeah, it's pretty high coverage, so this is really one way you have to also apply a little bit on your ears and definitely blend it down the neck. But I'm gonna see if I can find ways to use this where it's a little bit more subtle in coverage, but it makes my skin look really healthy, really good. I feel like this is just so nice for dry skin. Like it's not feeling very sticky right now. There's just something a little creamy about it. I would maybe choose to set this a little bit, but I want to see what it does on its own first. It's very glowy. Just look at that glow. Okay, I'm gonna look up close a little bit. It doesn't look weird. It's blending in really nicely. Like some parts I should blend a little bit better myself, but even on my nose it's looking really good, and that never happens. That literally never happens. I almost never put anything on my nose because it never looks good. And like I'm fine with that because I also feel like not putting any foundation on your nose makes it look a little bit like more natural, the coverage that you have on your face. This looks lovely. It looks absolutely lovely. We're gonna see how this is gonna wear, but I do feel like it's drying down. I can totally see myself using this more often in different ways, and yeah, this is much better than the skin tint that I tried to buy at Kiko. I didn't like that one at all. Okay, we're gonna do a little bit of a zoom in. Let me show you my skin. So this is what it's looking like, and it's looking really good. Like you can see the imperfections that I have on my skin, but it's like so much more smooth and it does go over those imperfections really nicely. I am really liking that. And I do feel like, as far as I can tell, this is showing my skin how it's truly looking right now really well. Okay, big fan of that. Let's see about that concealer. Okay, so we have the concealer in this line. So this is a Skin Lover Intensive Serum Concealer. So this is kind of like a thinner, more serum-like concealer as well. I got it in shade 02. I hope it's gonna be a good shade for me. I'm gonna see what the promises are on this one. So the shade I have is 02 Light Sand. It says it has an airy texture, a natural silky finish that reduces the look of wrinkles under the eyes, easy to blend, medium coverage. It has a really interesting applicator because it's kind of like a doe foot, but it is kind of like a metallic, but it is kind of like a metal doe foot. It has like the shape of a doe foot, but it is like metal, and it has this really small kind of like metal point. I hope this is gonna be a good shade for me. I felt like all of them looked a little bit on the yellowy side, so yeah, this is also looking a little bit yellow. It's very liquidy. I usually only apply my concealer. Oh, that's way too much. I need to remove some of that. That's not gonna work. I usually only apply my concealer right over here. So I'm gonna grab my concealer brush by Cinch. This is the brush that I always use. This is the Cinch FO2. And let's just see how this blends. The girl in the shop said that this looks almost like you have no concealer on. So we're gonna see if that is what is gonna happen here. I have had so many issues with concealers actually looking kind of like dry and crepey under my eye, because I have that dry patch here, and even if I don't have a dry patch, there's something going on with my skin over here where it just clings on. This has pretty high coverage, I gotta say. It's a little bit on the yellowy side, but I felt like the other shades were definitely not better. Like this was definitely the best option, so this is what we're gonna live with. It has very high coverage. I feel very covered. That is looking quite good. I do feel like right in here I see a little bit of what I'm usually talking about. Let's see if I can blend it. Like the little bit of... Well, now it's looking quite good. It's definitely brightening under my eyes. I think it's looking quite good. But I do feel like I like a little bit more of a creamy concealer for the dryness right there. I think I could have taken less. I think that would have looked better. Now it's a little much for me. Like now I'm really committing to the coverage, but usually I don't really. Like that did erase my dark circles. I feel like it almost blends out a little bit lighter than you would think. Like this, oh, I'm so glowy. I'm gonna powder, okay? I'm gonna powder a little bit. Like this is the color of that concealer, and then this is a blended out. I just feel like it looks... Okay, that has nice coverage. That pimple is basically gone now. Like far enough gone for me. I'm just gonna take the residue and kind of blend right here. Just the residue that is on the brush, but I'm also gonna apply some eyeshadow. I do feel like it has blended quite nicely on, like over my dry under eyes. Is it gonna be my favorite? I feel not like myself right now. Is it gonna be my favorite? We're gonna see. I do feel like that foundation worked a little better on my dry areas. Maybe also because that is so close to my skin tone. I'm just gonna take away a little bit of concealer here. Otherwise it's definitely gonna crease and it doesn't need to be there. I feel like the foundation is the best formula and color match for me. Alright, another close-up of the concealer. I just feel like that emphasized a little bit of my dry patch here and a little bit over here. It's not looking as smooth with the concealer. Like it's not bad, and this is something that basically every product is doing to me right now, so it could also really be me. I'm liking it, but I don't know if I'm gonna love this concealer. I feel like I have to use it a little bit more often to see. I also feel like now that it's drying down, it's not looking as extremely light under my eyes anymore. So maybe it's kind of like drying down a little bit darker. That could be the case. Okay, so we have two blushes in this new range that I already told you I'm very excited about. I really love these formulas. So first up I have here the So Chic Trio Blush. And this is kind of like the 3-in-1 all over formula. And we have 4 shades. And these all come in a black packaging. So I'm thinking this is gonna be the regular range. And I got shade 04, which is kind of like this toned down red. And it just looks really, really nice. I also really love the gunmetal cap of this. Like the packaging of this looks really good. Very excited to try that out. But we also have the new Plush blushes. And this new Plush blush comes in 3 shades, and these are like the poof style applicator blushes that so far they've only had in the limited editions, and we finally have a cool tone shade. All of the ones that I have in this formula are kind of like peachy bronzy, maybe a little on the rosy side, but definitely warm toned, and this is a cool toned baby pink glowy blush. Very excited about that. The question is, what am I gonna use? Should I mix these together? I'm gonna apply a little bit of bronze and I'm gonna think about that for a second. Alright, I applied a little bit of bronzer. I feel like it blended so well into that foundation. I feel so good in this foundation. It looks great. I'm just gonna powder my forehead a little bit in a second, but I just want to see how this sets down on its own. I don't feel like it feels sticky. It does transfer a little bit, I think, on my finger. Is it transferring? Yeah, a little bit. So it's not like transfer proof right now. So I do think that I would set this a little bit. I'm just gonna use 1 blush on each side, and then just in the end blend it together. So we're gonna start out with the Plush blush, which I think I might be most excited about, but I don't know. I also really love a muted red blush. So this looks so beautifully cool toned. I think this probably is gonna become my favorite shade of this formula. I just love it so much. I love a glowy blush, that is for sure. And I love a cool tone pink blush. I feel like I just keep buying cool tone pink blushes. It's just a safe choice. This is really nice. Just a really natural light pink flush. That is really cute. I love this color. Like, there were also some other colors, but those looked like the colors that we've seen in limited editions before, kind of like those rosy brown shades. So if you're sad that you missed some limited editions, I would say check these out. This is really, really great. Okay, let's do the red blush. This is gonna look really different, I think. Like, this other side is gonna look really different. I'm just gonna take a little bit. It seemed quite pigmented. I think this is gonna be such a nice kind of like burnt blush. Yeah, I think I've taken enough of this. I love just how natural a red blush can look, because it's really what my face becomes, like a little bit red, pinky red, when I flush or when I get a little bit of a sunburn. This is really beautiful. I do think that this foundation is really helping these blushes to look smooth so much. Look at that. That is gorgeous. Like, this melts in with that foundation so nicely. And I don't feel like it was too pigmented, and it also hasn't like gone and sunken in my pores, which sometimes happen with more darker blushes, but I do feel like this works really well for my skin tone. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of that pinky shade on top and see if that is making this all match enough or what this will do. I think that combination is gorgeous. I am so excited. Part of me kind of was hoping for a new limited edition collection by Kiko, but I think these are products that I'm gonna be using over and over and over again, so definitely not mad at that. Definitely not. I'm gonna use the tiniest bit of this red shade over here. It is a red, but it just has the nicest kind of like softer muted undertone. I think I'm so happy with the shades that I picked. Okay, I think we're basically even enough. Just gonna blend the edges a little bit. Just gonna take my foundation brush and blend this a little. I love the way my skin is looking, the way my cheeks are looking. I'm almost sad it is already later in the day and I don't have another video to film. Like, I'm gonna edit this and try to get this up pretty quickly. That is such a nice glow. I love this combination on the cheeks. I'm gonna finish my makeup and... oh wait, I'm gonna powder my forehead a little bit. And I wanna use my favorite powder, which is the Catrice All Matte Plus Shine Control Powder. I'm gonna use the brush by What's a Beauty that they sent me. Wait, this is the other one. I don't know. Yeah, here's where I put it. So this is the brush. I'm just gonna take a little bit and I'm just gonna sweep it over the forehead because I do like a little bit of glow, and I'm just gonna sweep it a little underneath. I might regret that. Yeah, I am seeing the dry patch here. The concealer isn't exactly doing what I want. I do feel like this foundation, it just needs a little bit of a like setting situation. It needs to be set down a little bit. And that is what I'm saying as someone with dry skin, so keep that in mind. Yeah, I think now we're good. Now it's not transferring. So a light layer of powder. I feel like that is necessary with this product. Alright, so here we have the finished look. I just did this eye look with the Wycon Spring Break eyeshadow palette. And on my lips I have the Catrice Queen Vibes lip liner. And I also have the Kiko Milano Gloss Supreme Watery Touch Lip Stylo in 04 on my lips. So I am really liking how my makeup came out. The concealer, don't know if that's gonna be my favorite. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna use it more and see if I can make it work. The foundation I really like the look of, but it doesn't set down. So it needs a little bit of a set, but it still looks really nice and glowy and healthy with a slight bit of setting. The question really is gonna be, is this gonna crease? Because it's a little bit thicker, it's quite pigmented, it's a little bit emollient, and it's really nice and hydrating, but is it gonna move around? We're gonna see about that. I will put an update with how this wore in the comment section, in a pinned comment, and I will let you know. The blushes I just really love, but these are blush formulas that I know and love. The glowy blush is just very blendable, buildable, really easy to use. I really like the glow that it gives. And then the trio blush, it's not too pigmented, but it has a nice amount of pigmentation. It's blendable. It has a really nice skin-like finish that is not sticky or too thick. And that is what I really like about this formula. To me, this is basically the same as the Days in Bloom 3-in-1 Silky All Over. This one is in the shade Rose Dreams. This is no longer available, but I did feel like there were some shades that looked kind of like this could be similar. So I do really like this formula. I cannot say like with 100% certainty that it is the same thing, but it seemed really similar to me swatching it and applying it on my cheeks. So I'm really happy so far with how this came out, but especially with the foundation and the concealer, you really need to see how it wears if it stays on, because I do have dry skin, but if I move around my face, like if I make some facial expressions, even if the product is not like sliding off from oiliness, it can definitely still crease. So I'm gonna see how this is gonna go. But so far, this was a really fun video to film. I had a great time doing my makeup with these products, and that's gonna be the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.